So hi everyone, welcome to the coffee break session, episode 2. So it's today is July 1st, that's our second episode. And I have here a few honored guests from my team, Jim Kwanzi and Cyril, and a lot of Forge developers as well. Thank you guys for joining us today. I was just announcing the other day that I had my new coffee mug, which I don't know, it's not really related, but it's just that I found this on a store. If you watch The Mandalorian, that's the child, Baby Yoda. It's a bit funny. Anyway, well, this is a very informal conversation, and if you have any questions, any points that you'd like to discuss, that's a good point for us to start. If not, we can take a look at a few of things going on at Autodesk. So let me open first with questions. If you have any questions, topics that you would like to ask. As I said, this is very informal. There is no requirement. It's just that you need your coffee to join the conversation.
And you can pretty much ask anything.
Yes.
No limits there. Could be about technology, could be a Forge API endpoint question, could be about business development.
Let me start with something very non-technical first then. We are hiring, which is a very good news. This is the job opening in Montreal, Canada. Actually, I open for other locations as well. If you know anyone that would be happy to join our team, that's suggest this link. I'm going to share that on Twitter later as well. But yeah, this is open. It's a very good news for us. And hopefully that we'll be able to help you in the future with someone else in Canada. We have Dennis Grigor there, so we'll be happy to have more people. Yeah, we're hiring. And last week, we had the proposals for AU. Actually, this is still going on, right? AU, last week was AU in English. And in next week will be AU for other languages. So French, Spanish, German, Japanese, and Chinese. If you are one of those countries and you want to apply for submit a proposal for AU, that will be interesting. And there is a very good news that AU this year will be virtual, as we mentioned last week, but there is no cost to attend, which is really good, right? You can just register and watch all the classes for free. There is no cost involved. And I know that Fernando applied or submitted classes for you before. Did you submit this time, Fernando?
Oh, not this time.
Yeah, bringing you to the hot fire.
Yeah. And that's a really good news because my daughter just started architecture. So it's on the first, period of the course. And I told her, oh, that's a unique opportunity for you to get all those classes for free.
Yes.
So really good news.
And to be clear, to submit a class, next week it doesn't open. Next week it closes. So you'll have until July 9th to submit a class. And given we're able to do this covering a lot of local languages, the chance your class will be accepted is quite a bit higher.
Yeah, well, next week actually is the AU for non-English classes, so that's the good news. All right, let me ask again if you have any questions. Is that inspiring you or not?
Actually, I remember one that's more for Cyril. So Cyril, do you have any updates on the version of WebGL the viewer is using?
Oh, that's how I know we're using WebGL 2 now.
Yeah, because I remember you're saying that maybe in the near future you're switching to not the most recent, but a more recent version of WebGL.
I think we're talking 3GS, right?
Oh, 3GS.
Yeah, 3J.
So
3J.
we are using WebGL 2 now. The first few versions of the viewer were using WebGL 1, but now we upgraded to WebGL 2. The version of 3GS is still version 71. We haven't yet made any change on that front, but the engineering team is still evaluating what we should be doing here. Yeah, I know we're lagging on the versioning.
Okay.
And we very much feel your pain when you find some 3JS code you want to use and then it has to be backported. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Us too.
Yeah, especially when the customer show another viewer. Oh, can you do that like that? No, sorry, not yet.
Yeah, so there is, I don't know if we told you, but a year and a half ago, the Forge team, the engineering Forge team kind of reorganized themselves. So there is a very energetic and knowledgeable team working on the viewing technology, including the LNB viewer. So I hope that they will come back to us with a plan on this topic. But today, I don't know. It's hard to tell you anything.
Yeah, and in terms of quality, is 3ds Max is still the best file format for submitting to the viewer in terms of materials, reflections?
Yeah, if you want to do pre-processing, yeah, 3ds Max is probably your better option.
Okay.
Cool, thank you, sir. And thank you, Fernando, as well, for your question. So, Francesca, I remember you coming from one of our accelerators, right? How are you?
Fine.
Thanks for joining again.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
I like listening about Forge because I think that I've made some step forward, and so I like to join.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask to Cyril something about the integration with Unity and Forge?
Yeah, go ahead.
Essentially, I'd like to, I didn't try yet the process. So essentially, I'd like to understand something about the process. So what I understood is that as long as you play on Unity, your model is loaded from the web, from the Forge, and then it's rendered into Unity. Is this the right process? Or?
Yes, so here I'm going to talk about the Forge Toolkit, which is different components. So just remember, this is a let's say, research project today. There is a new team being formed at Autodesk who is looking at what Autodesk is going to do or productize in terms of AR, VR pipeline. But let me talk about what we did in terms of this research project. So you have the Unity plugin, which is a connection, sorry, I have to close this. There is a Unity plugin which connects Forge to any of your device and stream the content from Forge directly on your device. So you never store anything on the device itself, unless you really want it. But you can connect your model from Forge to your experience on your device. So this is one of the options. The other option is to use the an extractor. So you still process your file on Forge, and you use a tool that Peter wrote to export this content into a format which is called GLTF. And then you can import this into Unity or other software to do post-processing if you want. And in both cases, you render the content coming from Forge on your device. But there is a slightly difference between the two. One is more like a streaming approach, whereas the other one is more like a post-processing export and then import into Unity. Both pipelines are valid. It all depends what you want to do.
And suppose that I'm using the streaming. If I update something into the model, can I come back to Unity with all the settings that I've already done, or should I adjust the code again in Unity? So, I mean, the code, the settings, and everything else.
Yeah, so the streaming approach works like the viewer. So if you do an update on your content that you store on Forge, you still access that content using the URL. And the streaming will work exactly like the viewer. If you have, let's say, an object ID or handle to connect to your object, you still can do that. You still have access to the metadata. It works like in the viewer. It's Unity-based, but it works exactly with the same idea you have with the viewer. So the connection is still there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Francesca. Thank you, sir. Very good explanation. Let me get to a different thing here. Oh, there is a question here from William as well. William, you are welcome to open your microphone if you want. But the question is, can you talk about Unity Reflect? Do we know that?
Yeah, exactly.
You are our Viz expert, right?
Yeah. So Unity Reflect is not an Autodesk development. It's not an Autodesk product either. It's really Unity who has developed a product on API to deliver content on the Unity platform. It's still in beta, and you need to ask permission to access the product. Personally, I haven't played with it yet. It targets BIM market, but I don't really know what's going on with Unity Reflect today. All I know is Autodesk on Unity are partnering on some initiative around different pipelines to stream or use, let's say, CAD content into Unity. With, I think, a primary focus on BIM. So that's all I can really tell today. I don't know the future of Unity Reflect. I know some people at Autodesk worked on it with the Unity people, but that's all I know, to be honest. Did I answer the question?
Seems so. William saying thank you, and thank you, William, for as well. All right.
Hi, Augusto. Can I just?
Yes. Hi, Ro. Go ahead. No, Ro. Yes.
Yes, I just would like to introduce myself just a bit. Ask for some advice. Well, I'm Raul. I'm a mechanical design engineer working in Manchester in a company now for 5 years. I started working as a design engineer. I'm having kind of a transition from a design engineer to a, well, I don't want to call you software developer because it's not really that. It's something in the middle. A couple of years ago, we started on the department to automate designs with our logic in Inventor. And since the last year, more or less, I just wanted to bring something new to my company, some kind of innovation or something. So I started to dig out, and I found this thing called Forge. I didn't know anything about Forge about a year ago, but I found something exciting about this. So I started to study JavaScript, how to build a RESTful API, you know, all this not new world for me, because I always have loved software. For me, programming is like kind of hobby. But now I'm in a point of my life when I would like to go forward with this, do something, and I don't know, it's something like build a startup, how to try to be a system integrator, for example. I'm thinking about start doing something to present to the Accelerator in Forge. I don't know, I'm in a way of trying to grow up with Forge because I love it and I would like to carry on with this. I don't know if you guys could give me any advice or I don't know what you think.
Well, first, welcome. Thank you for joining the Forge community. And well, we have some samples and tutorials that you can start with. That would be one of the initial suggestions. Have you tried that?
Yeah. Well, I've been like about 6 months now playing with Forge. I already had a couple of sessions with Adam Nagy on this. I can book now time with him, which is something fantastic. Thank you for that, guys. I really enjoying it because it's like one-on-one support of one of the best. Well, I have been following Adam and Ryan Atkins, all these guys from years now when I try to look for code for their logic, for the add-ins. So, yes. Yeah, I know you very well, guys, for some years now. But now I'm trying to get that transition in a different thing, this web application world. So yeah. Well, to your question, Augusto, yeah, I already try. I'm building something that I would like to present to my company and to show what we can do with Forge or what I'm able to do, even if the company didn't want to use that, because my company at the moment is kind of is about the cloud. They don't want to put anything in the cloud. Everything has to be server on the server inside the company. They don't have Azure, so every time I want to develop or deploy any kind of little web application, even a web page, is difficult. I have to go through 5 or 6 different departments. It's kind of a nightmare. So that's why I'm trying to. Maybe it's time to move to a different thing, but yeah, I can kind of see the but with clouds at the moment.
Yeah, bit of advice. And I see a lot of partners kind of miss this. Focus on the problem you're trying to solve, right? It's not about the technology, it's about the problem. And build a deep understanding of what the problem is, why the problem is, what's causing the problem, what are the side effects, the negative business impacts of the problem. Become the absolute world expert on that problem. And then you can show how to apply technology to solve the problem. But you should always want to do the problem first, because that's where, where the pain is, that's where people are willing to, if the company you're with doesn't like the cloud, but if you show them there's this big problem and it's costing them money and
yes,
you can fix it, then they'll open up and go, oh, maybe I need to do this, because they feel the pain.
Yes.
And you got to make sure it's a problem that there's real pain, not just annoying where it hurts. Yeah.
It's usually something that you see that they spend a lot of hours doing. That you can see that is something that is very easy to do if you automate in a way. But you see, look for those things that are consuming hours, days to do. And you can clearly see that maybe Autodesk or something else or other technologies as well will help you solve that problem. But look at those things that are consuming a lot of hours from them. That's usually hours, there's a lot of, yeah.
The other one is looking for where people make bad decisions and regret it because they didn't have access to the information they needed to. Yes. Bad decisions, lots of hours, find the pain. And sometimes the answer is not sexy. Sometimes the answer is something very basic. But that's okay. Yeah.
It's the first step.
First step. Yeah. And this is going to be terrible. And sometimes you have to change companies to move your career forward. That's okay. It's funny. I've been at Autodesk 30 years. I do a job interview every 4 or 5 years outside of Autodesk. I go look and I go see what's interesting out there. I see what I'm worth. I see what else I could do, and that's just a healthy thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I actually have an example, and this is one of the reasons I'm getting par with Forge. It's a very simple example, very quick one. I don't want to take more time with this. When a customer, we design metal detector for the food industry. So a customer get an order for us. We have a design package. We design the machine, and one of the requests sometimes is a exploded view of the machine. It's a machine with about 300, 400 parts. So the most of the time we kind of set the exploded view job because it takes too much time for us. So the lead time is, we cannot set the lead time we have. So we have to say no, or we have to spend about 2-3 days doing a manually exploded view. So I found the free viewer on Autodesk, just drawing a little line, the view is exploded by itself. So from there, I think, well, I think I can build like a kind of digital library of design, and then I can share that with the customer, and the customer can see the machine exploded in seconds. That I have one of the solutions. That's the reason I'm working for that now. Try to play around with the viewer, with the design automation side as well. As soon as I got something, I would like to first go to my company with that and try to go with you guys if it's a good example to go to one of the accelerators training, for example.
Yes, sounds good.
That's my idea.
Yeah, great example. We got a few partners doing something kind of along those lines. Yeah, and I think you get it can get interesting, and if it's a big complex machine, we have our current kind of default explode. Do you need to tailor it so it explodes assemblies, and then maybe it explodes sub-assemblies, or maybe you pick a sub-assembly and it just explodes that piece? You could definitely build an interesting experience there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm just remembering one of the many samples we have. So there are some ways to do it as well. Just if I can find.
Reminds me of Michael's explode by floor, right?
That's the one I was looking for, Jim. We are on the same page. So this is an interesting one, Raul. So we have a blog with a lot of specific articles describing specific scenarios. One of the many articles we have from many experts we have here on the viewer is this one here, that we explode the model, but not on all directions, but just vertical and following the level information, right? So you see that I explode the house and then go to each level. It's just a custom way of exploding the model. And if you scroll down, there's a detailed description on how to do it. And this is one of the many things you can do with Forge, but there is also one of the ways you can get support from us and just ask, do you have something on those lines? Maybe just a blog post that we already have, right? So this blog post is from 2018, so it's been there for a while now.
Okay, take note of that. Thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Yeah. So take a snapshot of this URL just so you know it. And as you were talking about, customers selecting, placing equipment, right? I was remembering this sample that Jaime was doing last week, that you can design. Oops, let's see if I can make this work. Design a space. Let's say I have a small room, and then I can place the floor, right? Let me quickly show it how it's quite interesting, right? But it's not fully mechanical, but you design the room where you want to place a large equipment, and that will create a Revit model for you. The Revit model, it's there, but you don't really need it. You just need that to position your large equipment. what you are actually selling is not the room, but the equipment that goes inside the room. But the customer needs that information to visualize where the large equipment will be placed. So you can, quickly draft a room. Let me just summarize this here. Publishing, yeah, just give it a moment. And we can quickly see the model as soon as it's done. And you can quickly visualize the room. And yeah, I have the room now. Let's see it in 3D. Now it's the part that I'm really interested in, is to place this MRI scanner inside that room. So let me position that here. So I have my large equipment. So I can see how that equipment will be placed inside my laboratory room, right? So I can even select it, and let me use the translate here and say, no, I don't want to place that there, maybe in here, because I need to leave some space in the back to move around. So what I'm actually selling is this scanner, but I need the room to position it. And it's it's an interesting tool for sales teams, right? And I still have all the Forge related tools, so I can have a cross section and see how that will behave. Just, as you said, customers looking for information, that's different way of looking at it. Cool, right?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to learn to do something like that.
Wow, was this for Siemens or GE?
Yeah, no, I don't think we can talk about the customer name yet, Jim. But yeah, one of those big ones.
I used to work for General Electric Medical Systems, building MRI machines a long time ago.
Yeah. And I think last week we were talking about design automation for civil. So this is using design automation for Revit to create the Revit model. And then this is only viewer, right? That is just UI interface for it. But last week, Jim, you asked about Civil 3D design automation, which is now in public beta. So I was just pointing that out. So it is there. You can try it. And it's just another way of automating Civil 3D tasks. And it's quite powerful because it's running on top of the AutoCAD engine. And this very basic sample is showing that you can extract some information and see that here on the side panel. So this additional information is coming from design automation, which is something else that you can do with Forge, right? Extract that kind of information from the model. Okay, let me switch back to the inventor thing I was showing Raul. I was showing this medical, I just remember about the design automation, but there's another one that you can try, this RIM Configurator. Raul, it's also a sales tool that you can use. You saw that before, right? Did you?
I saw that on the showroom you created.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, just select the style, the color, the diameter, and the width, and that will create the model for you. Let me generate this model here. It may take a few moments to create the model. There are 2 steps running, right? So we have design automation to create the model, and we have viewer or model derivative to visualize the model. Should be available soon. So while this is running, do we have any other questions? See a lot more people joining. Questions. Oh, here we have the model. So 3D on the top and 2D at the bottom. Quite powerful.
Okay, and then just in terms of the Forge Accelerator, what is the requirement you ask for to go there?
For the accelerator, you need to have a project. So you need to describe us what you want to do with Forge, so we can make sure that what you want to do is possible, and that we have the team to help you, and that you can do that in the time frame of the accelerator, right? So just create your project, describe your project, propose that, and we can accept that for you. But that's what we need. And of course, we need your commitment that we will be working with that during that week. And by the end of the week, it would be nice for you to showcase what you did during the week. That you will also help.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for everything.
Yeah, thank you.
It will pay off, Ro. You should do that.
Yeah. How many times you did it, Fernando? 3 times.
I think so, but I did the first one, which was the best.
The first one is always the best. So there is a question here from William that if the .NET SDK has been updated to include room and spaces. You're talking about the master view, right? I believe not, not part of the SDK. But you can always call that using the endpoint, the REST endpoint, and just execute the master view. That should work right away. That's something that we should be updating soon.
Yeah,
or
we should
have
be
to.
updating. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
the SDKs. Thank you, William. So I think we are at the end of our 30-minute slot. Any other questions? So let me quickly remind you that our next, oops, I'm doing something wrong here. Sorry about that. Here, and here. So our next section will be the same time, but on July 15th. That's our next coffee break. And I'll be posting the recording of today on my YouTube, and also share that on Twitter, that you can watch the recording and get any other link that you missed. But hope to see you July 15th again, and have another session to have some coffee together.
Yes, you should
Thank
be
you.
there. Thank you, guys. Have a nice holiday for you guys.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.